Yo, what up, guys? I'm starting this new thing here that I'm going to call Filth Facts, where I kind of give you some input on, how to pick a designer, how to build a brand for yourself, everything like that. So, today we're talking about what makes a logo good and kind of how to pick a designer, like a little starting point to kind of kick off from. So let's jump into looking at a few logos. I got two examples of bad logos and two examples of good logos. Now, I'm sure most of you will look at this right away and say, wow, that's pretty shitty. But you may not quite understand exactly why. So a few things that should be red flags to you for a bad logo are: number one, poor color choices. This clearly has poor color choices. It's not very legible because of those color choices. They didn't really take into consideration what this logo would be used for and where. So right off the bat, just reading that this is a sports bar and grill, I'm going to assume that this logo is going to go on a big ass sign out front. Now, the problem with that is this logo is not going to look good on a sign. This maybe, and this is best case scenario, might look good on a business card, but that's compared to everywhere else that it would look bad. So it's they didn't take into consideration what it would be printed on, and again, the poor color choices. The design's not terrible. There's some issues with font choices here. They have one font, going in a strange direction compared to the other. So, for example, here, if we draw a line across, the general direction this is going versus these are going straight across, I mean, that it just doesn't line up. It doesn't look right. Now, another thing that makes a bad logo is it not being memorable. So obviously this is memorable, but for all the wrong reasons. It's a very vibrant, in a bad way, logo that you would probably remember because it's bad, which is not necessarily a good thing. So if we come down here, we could look at kind of another logo where this has some different issues compared to the last one. So just in general, some not very memorable design. This is a pretty standard, I would almost say this is like NPC design. Like, this is just logo TM. Like, I just need something to go out front of my business or on my business card or whatever. Like, this is not memorable design. Now, keep in mind, both of these logos are not necessarily in the gaming realm or comparable to logos that would be designed for that type of industry, but they're very good examples of what not to do. So these strange alternating colors, very poor font choice, really, really bad composition, these strange framing elements, and just all in all, it's bad. It almost it's almost too heavy on one side. Like, the way that they've alternated these colors back and forth, it's just not. It looks wrong when you first look at it. So again, this kind of comes into the same points I made before. Number one, poor color choices. It's not that these colors are bad to use; it's that they are used badly here. Number two, not super legible. If they put this on a sign somewhere, this yellow is going to disappear in the daylight. It's going to be hard to read. So again, that comes into that other point I made before. They didn't really take into consideration what this would be used for or where it would be printed. This maybe might go on a business card, but even then, if you're putting it on something physical and you take it out into the sunlight, you're going to have a hard time seeing colors like this yellow, which is why most people choose to outline elements that are this type of color. So moving on to some good logos, though, I'm sure you'll all recognize this one. And there's a reason for that. It's very well designed. It's simple. It's timeless, which is one of the most important things you could have for your logo. This is going to still look good 10 years from now, even if the streamer is irrelevant, and even if streaming is irrelevant at that point. This logo will still look good. It's bold. It works, the way it's designed, it would work on multiple backgrounds, products, etc., and it would be, easy to see, even if it was on a physical product. So they really took into consideration, where this logo would be used, and they kind of thought about the future before making it. So it's, like I said, it's timeless, it's simple. And here's the biggest thing about logos that a lot of people don't know. A logo is meant to identify your business, not explain it. So this is obviously a ninja. That doesn't mean the guy who this logo is for is a literal ninja. It's just a character. It's just a thing to set him apart. It's a cool looking logo for his cool looking online moniker, and it's unique. That's what's important. It's a unique looking logo. It's easily identifiable. There's great color choices. It's very legible. And that's the same thing for another logo I'm sure you'll all recognize right here, Rockstar. Again, very simple, very timeless. This has looked good for like 10 years or however long, maybe longer. I can't even remember when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, but I mean, this has been their logo with very minor alterations, and it's just so memorable. And that's kind of the thing that you need to think of when you are branding yourself. You want to kind of build for the future. So with that in mind, let's talk about a few things that are important when you're picking a designer. So when you're picking a designer, you really get what you pay for. Like we were looking at those logos. If you pay $5, $10, $15, $20, whatever it may be, they're not going to put a lot of thought into that logo. And you're probably not going to put a lot of thought into that logo. And if that's where you're at in your career, that's totally fine. But it's not how you build a brand. It's not how you turn this into your job so you can be your own boss and, do your own thing and be a streamer for a living. So it's really important that you understand that you get what you pay for. That being said, there are some people who heavily overvalue their work. So this is where this next point starts to come into play. Know your designer and their work. It's really important. You don't just want to pick someone off the fly and just make a super quick decision because you're tired of looking or you're not sure what you want or anything like that. Whatever the case may be, you don't really want to just jump into it. So I would say the number one thing not to do is to go on Twitter, type in GFX, and just pick somebody out of this list. Now, I'm not shitting on anybody in this list. There's nothing wrong with people who are first starting out and trying to learn and trying to make a couple bucks. I mean, that's what we're all doing. But, at the same time, a lot of these are not good. This is not how you build a brand. This here, for example, this guy's selling this for $5. If you're just a guy streaming for fun, you just need something to throw up as a banner, $5, you think this is cool, go for it. If you're trying to be your own boss, though, and build a brand, this is not representative. This is not what you want to represent your stream's quality. This isn't how you want to be identified. Like, oh, Bill, the streamer who has that really shitty Fortnite banner thing, he doesn't even have a logo. Yeah, that guy sucks, or whatever. You know what I mean? You want your design and your logo and your brand is how you represent yourself to your community and your potential community, and it's what'll help you grow as a streamer and again turn this into a full-time job. Be your own boss type situation. Here's another important point. Your designer should make you something in their style. For example, if we look at my Twitter page and my work, I have a very specific style. Like, I draw things my way because I've been doing art for a long time and I've developed a style. That's another one of those you get what you pay for things. Now granted, for example, like me here, I'm selling portraits for $35. But that's because that I have streamlined this process so much that I can afford to cut that price down that low. It's not because I'm desperate for money, but it's because I can do these so quickly. That's what my time's worth at that point. But again, if you look through, a lot of my work, I have a very specific style. I draw a certain way. I color things a certain way. Everything I do is a certain kind of way. And, trying to find some more work here. Here's a perfect example. This is me drawing stuff my way, my style. And you should always hire a designer for their style. So, for example, if I was a band and I wanted, an album cover done, I would start looking up, people who do album covers, and then I would browse through somebody's portfolio until I decided that, their style aligned with, my needs as a streamer and as a business. So you get what you pay for. You want to know your designer and their work, and your designer should make you something in their style. You should never force your designer to make something out of their wheelhouse. If they don't do animation, don't hire them to do animation, because they're going to feel uncomfortable, and they might not be able to do it, or they might have a hard time. It might ruin that relationship of you being a streamer and them being your designer. Now, if your designer says they want to learn and you're willing to work with them, and that's something they want to do and they offer it, that's totally fine. But never try to force your designer into doing something that they're not comfortable with. So, really, at the end of the day, the bulletin points are: don't make bad color choices, don't make logos that aren't legible. Your logo does not have to explain your business, it only has to identify it. Good logos are timeless, simple, they're unique, they make good color choices, and they're very legible, and they take into consideration where they're going to be used and what they're going to be used on. And as far as picking a designer goes, just remember, you get what you pay for. You should always know your designer and look through their portfolio at all their work and make sure that it aligns with what you want, because your designer should make you something in their style, and you shouldn't force your designer to do anything they're uncomfortable with. That's it for today's Filth Facts. Hang out, stay tuned. I'll make some more. Let me know what you guys want to hear from me next. If you have any design questions, I have over 10 years of experience designing and working with people, and working in the gaming arena of design and everything. So any questions, throw them down below. Otherwise, make sure you drop me a follow if you haven't already, and let me know if you have any questions.